You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Picture this. It's 7:42 in the morning and you're saying, we are leaving in 3 minutes. At my house, you would see me doing the classic parent multitask, packing lunches, signing homework, filling water bottles, trying to remember whether or not it's library day for one of my kiddos and if we need to return the library book. And then one of my kiddos is in the hallway and they look like they're buffering. I say, shoes on. They say, I can't find them. And I say, they are right there by the front door where they have always lived. And suddenly we're in it, yelling, bargaining, total shutdown. And in my head, I'm thinking, how can a kid who can build a literal Lego civilization be losing his mind about shoes? And here's the line I want you to hold on to today. Smart kids can still have an overwhelmed air traffic control system. Welcome to the executive function traffic jam. Hey, you're listening to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist, mom of two, parent coach, and endurance athlete who works with families raising strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kiddos. Today, we're talking about executive functioning, or EF, as I like to call it, and what it is, what it isn't, and why it's one of the biggest hidden drivers behind what looks like hard behavior. Here's what I'm going to walk you through. A simple way to spot an EF traffic jam in the moment, a metaphor that makes EF make sense in real life, scripts you can use without escalating things, and tiny wins you can try this week. Because you don't need a total overhaul. You need one helpful on-ramp. Before we get nerdy and dive into the research, here's some quick honesty. Knowing this information doesn't magically make mornings easy. Sometimes I still have the moment where I'm like, why is this so hard? Why are we arguing about a toothbrush and brushing your teeth like it's a court case? And then I remember when EF is overloaded, everything else slows down. The whole highway backs up. And this is a translation line that can change the tone in your house. If it looks like won't, it might actually be can't, not like this, not with this many demands, not while my brain is overloaded. Now, that doesn't mean we drop expectations. It means we choose the right tool for the actual problem. Because if we treat a skill problem like a character problem, we get more shame, more conflict, and less learning. All right, let's talk about EF in plain language. Executive functioning is basically the set of brain skills that help you do goal-directed life. It's how we plan, start, remember steps, manage impulses, switch gears, keep track of time, regulate emotions, and finish things. It's the brain's management system. And here's what's tricky. Your child can know what to do and still struggle to do it consistently, especially under stress. That's why it can feel so confusing. You're like, you did this yesterday. You can do it. Why can't you do it today? Sometimes the answer is because yesterday the road conditions were clear, And today, their brain is driving in a thunderstorm. Which brings me to the tool I want you to use in the moment. I like to call this the jam check, where we look at skill, fuel, and fit. When your child is stuck, before you go into lecture mode, consequence mode, or we're going to be late and now I'm panicking mode, try this quick check. Number 1, skill. Ask yourself this question. Do they have the skill in this moment? Not, can they do it on a good day? I mean, can they do it right now with their current level of stress and distraction? Number 2, fuel. Ask yourself, are they running on empty? Maybe they're hungry, thirsty, tired, overstimulated, embarrassed, sick, after school crash, or just done. Number 3 is fit. Ask yourself, is the demand mismatched to the support? Are there too many steps? Is it too vague? Too fast? Too much talking? Too much pressure? Because if it's a skill issue and we respond like it's defiance, it escalates. If it's a fuel issue and we respond with a lecture, it escalates. If it's a fit issue and we keep the environment the same, it escalates. But if we add support and adjust conditions, sometimes the same kid looks like a completely different kid. Now, let's make EF stick in your brain with a metaphor you can use after this episode. I like to call this metaphor the brain traffic system. Okay, I want you to picture EF like a traffic system. There are lights, signs, ramps, detours, routes, timing, road conditions. Heck, there might even be weather. And we're going to walk through each part. What it is, what it looks like at home, what parents often misread it as, and one simple support that helps. Okay, the first one is working memory, and that's your GPS system. Working memory is what holds information in your mind while you're doing something, like keeping shoes, backpack, lunch on the screen while you're also getting dressed. When it's overloaded, the GPS starts recalculating constantly. Your child forgets steps, loses their pace, or melts down when you add one more instruction. Take what's in your voice and put it in the environment. Visual checks, sticky notes, using first then, or one-step prompts. Next is inhibition. That's like the traffic light. Inhibition is the stop and go system. It's your child's pause button. When the light is stuck on green, you see things like blurting out, grabbing, reacting, arguing, and it's easy to think, they know better. But their brain hits go before the pause can load, especially when emotions rise. Here's what helps. Preload the stop with a simple cue and a replacement move. Red light moment, pause, plus hands in pocket, one deep breath, and then calm follow. Next up is cognitive flexibility for detours. Cognitive flexibility is the ability to shift gears when the plan changes. Screens off, leaving the park, switching tasks, hearing not today. When flexibility is low, detours feel like danger. Their brain clings to the original route and goes into flight or fight mode about the change. What helps is providing a preview and choice, give a warning, use the timer they set, offer 2 acceptable detours, like, do you want a 2-minute warning or do you want to set the timer? Next up is planning and prioritizing equal your route. Planning is making the map. Prioritizing is deciding what matters first. Kids who struggle here can freeze because the task feels huge, or start with the easiest, most interesting part and skip the boring but important steps. It can look like avoidance when really the route isn't clear. Here's what helps. Build the route together. First, next, last. Break it into micro steps and make the finish line visible. When this is done, you're free for fill in the blank. Next, task initiation is the ignition. Task initiation is starting without a million prompts. When the ignition is weak, you get stalling, procrastination, wandering, bargaining, suddenly needing a snack, or picking a fight right at the start line. Here's what helps. A 2-minute start and a body double. Your only job is to open it and write your name. I'll stay nearby while you begin. Next is time management, which is like estimating travel time. Time management is the internal clock plus predicting how long kids think things are going to take. And many kids are wildly optimistic about time. That's how "I have plenty of time" turns into chaos, lateness, and panic. What helps is make time visible. Visual timers, countdowns, and time anchors. When the timer hits 5 minutes, shoes go on. Finally, we have emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is the road conditions in this metaphor. When feelings spike, being hungry, tired, embarrassed, overwhelmed, maybe even being sick, the lanes close. Working memory drops, flexibility disappears, inhibition fails. Here's what helps: regulate first, then expect. As adults, oftentimes kids look to us for what regulation looks like, and they can borrow our calm. That's where we talk about co-regulation, where we bring our calm and our children can draw from our calm to help themselves calm. So we co-regulate, lower demands briefly, and then return to the problem solving once the conditions have improved. And this is why I say yelling doesn't clear traffic. It usually adds a snowstorm to an already jammed highway system. Let's talk about what EF traffic jams might look like at home for you. Here are some of the most common pileups that parents describe to me in my clinic. Traffic jam number 1, the start: getting dressed, starting homework, beginning a chore. It looks like dawdling, arguing, the "I don't know," or collapsing. My favorite is the wet noodle. Often it's task initiation plus overwhelm plus an unclear first step. Traffic jam number 2, the switch from playtime to dinner. It looks like defiance or a power struggle. Often it's that cognitive flexibility and emotional regulation colliding with a very fast transition time. Traffic jam number 3, the remembering. Forms, water bottles, homework turned in, I forgot again. It can look like carelessness or not caring. Often it's a combination of working memory and planning. Too many steps living in their head. Traffic jam number 4, the after-school pileup. They were fine all day at school and then melt down over something tiny at home. That could be a kid who used up executive function fuel at school, holding it together, masking, managing social pressure, and then they come home with nothing left in the tank. And for strong-willed kids, there's often an extra layer. When they feel controlled and their skills can't meet the demand, you get the perfect storm: pushback plus panic, power struggle plus shutdown. So now, quick school translator moment, because this comes up constantly in teacher feedback that I hear. Okay, school psych moment. If you hear a teacher say they're capable but inconsistent, they rush and make careless mistakes, they don't start independent work, they lose everything, transitions are hard, that often translate to executive function demands are overloaded. Working memory, initiation, planning, time, flexibility. Here's a parent-friendly response that doesn't sound like you're diagnosing your own kiddo. You'd say to the teacher, "That makes sense. What supports are in place to externalize the EF demands so fewer steps have to live in their head?" And if you want a few concrete supports to request, here's some of my favorites. Chunking and check-ins. Smaller bites of work with quick teacher pass-by at the start. Visual directions. Steps are posted, not only spoken once. Repeat back. Your child repeats directions to confirm understanding. Consistent transition cue. It's the same phrase or timer every day. Organization scaffold. Maybe it's one folder system, color coding, a teacher initial on the paper before leaving, because you're not asking for special treatment here with your child's teacher. You're asking for ramps, signs, and lane markers so your child can access learning. As parents and caregivers, our job is to advocate for our children and what our children need to be successful in school. You're allowed to have meetings with teachers. You're allowed to ask for help and support. Now, as children's transition into middle school and high school, we want to make sure our children in those grades, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, start learning how to advocate for themselves and then continue to reinforce those skills as they transition to high school. And then we kind of will be able to pull back as they get older. But we're building the scaffolding so that they're going to be successful. Okay, back at home, what do you do in the moment when traffic hits? Here are some scripts you can use without escalating the situation. I want you to use these like you're reading the traffic report. You're calm, clear, it's not debatable. Script 1, name the jam and offer support. You might say, hey, it looks like a brain traffic jam. Let's add a support so it's not all in your head. Number 2, externalize the plan. I'm not going to keep this in reminders. Let's put it where your brain can see it. Maybe we write it in your agenda, planner, put it on a sticky note. This way it doesn't just live in your head. Number 4, a 2-minute ignition. You can tell your child, your only job is to start. Open your workbook, write your name on it. I'll stay nearby while you begin. Number 4, the detour switch. We have to switch. Do you want a 2-minute warning or do you want to set the timer? Number 5, road conditions and repair. That was a pileup. I'm not mad at your brain. Let's figure out what support would help you next time. And here's a parent reminder, because it comes up constantly. If you're thinking, but they can do it sometimes. Yes, exactly. EF skills are often inconsistent under stress. That inconsistency is not proof that they're manipulating you. It's often proof the system is overloaded. All right, let's talk tiny wins. I want you to think about tiny wins for this week. Pick one ramp, one lane marker. You're not rebuilding the entire highway. Tiny win number 1, create a drop zone. Backpack, shoes, water bottle, sports gear, one spot. Label it, make it ridiculously easy. If your child loses things, the solution is often less try harder and more make the environment do more of the remembering. Tiny win number 2, one visual checklist for one routine. Maybe it's morning or bedtime. There's 3 to 5 steps max. Your goal is fewer reminders and less talking. If you're repeating yourself 18 times, it's not always a motivation problem. It's often a system problem. Tiny win number 3, preview and buffer. Give a short preview of what's coming and build in buffer time. In 5 minutes, we're switching to dinner. 2 minutes before, I'll remind you. This supports flexibility and reduces the emotional whiplash of transitions. Tiny win number 4, body double for initiation. You stay nearby while they start. Not forever, just for ignition. This isn't creating dependency, it's scaffolding. It's also letting your child borrow from your calm so that their stress level comes down and they can start that task calmly. Tiny win number 5, a micro agreement for one recurring battle. Pick one repeated conflict. Maybe it's homework start, putting shoes on in the morning, maybe it's the bedtime steps, and clarify the what, when, and how. Keep it predictable for a week. Strong-willed kiddos do better when expectations are clear and not constantly renegotiated in the moment. Before we wrap up, here's the reflection question I want you to take with you. Where is my child hitting a skill demand mismatch right now? Meaning the demand is bigger than the EF available in that moment. And then what's one support I can add that helps without shame? Because your child doesn't need a better personality. They need better ramps and clearer signs. If today's episode hit home and you're realizing, oh, my kid isn't being a jerk, there's a pile up on their highway system, I made you a free download called the Big Feelings Decoder. It helps you figure out what a big reaction might actually be communicating, what your child's nervous system might need in that moment, and what to try next. So you're not guessing, lecturing, or accidentally making it worse. Grab the Big Feelings Decoder in the show notes. And if you're not on my Tiny Wins email list yet, that's where I send the scripts, tiny experiments, and realistic resets for real-life parenting, especially to help with those highway pileups. I'm really honored to be one of the people cheering you on as you build your tiny wins. We're creating smoother traffic patterns for your family, both you and your kiddo. We'll keep navigating these brain traffic jams together. One clearer sign, one gentler detour, one drop zone that saves your sanity on one regular Tuesday where you stop fighting the weather and start building better on-ramps. You're not failing, your kid isn't broken, you're dealing with brain traffic, and we can build better on-ramps. Until next time, friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psych2parent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.